The National Football Federation of Guatemala, known as Fedefut Guate or FENAFUTG, is the governing body of football in Guatemala. It organizes the Football League, Liga Nacional de Guatemala, Primera División de Ascenso, Segunda División de Ascenso, the Copa Centenario and the Guatemala national football team. It is based in the Zone 15 of Guatemala City. History. Association football is the official name of the Guatemala football team that represents Guatemala in international matches, and it falls under the direct command of Federación Nacional de Fútbol de Guatemala. Association football was established in 1919, became a member of the CONCACAF, and it became a FIFA associate in 1946. Rules of the Guatemalan Football Federation. The National Football Federation of Guatemala has been in charge of overseeing many regulations which are divided into general and competition. The most important general rules are: status of the National Federation of Association Football in Guatemala, general rules of competition, regulation of the First Division, Professional Regulation Commission, Disciplinary Commission, Regulation Player, rules of the Referees Committee. The most important competition regulations are laws of the game of FIFA and Professional First Division. Associations affiliated with Fedefut Guate. Departmental associations football. Each departmental association has the right to integrate the General Assembly one delegate, in accordance with Rule 109 of the Law for the Development of Physical Culture and Sports. The executive committees of the sports associations departmental designate one of its members, one delegate and one alternate to the General Assembly of the Federation. These representatives shall hold office for 1 calendar year. Reason why his appointment should be made in the last regular session made by the respective executive committee. In the General Assembly may participate with voice only and the delegate vote. Failing that, you can do with equal rights for the delegate. The league. The procedure to appoint or elect the delegates and alternates as holders of each league will be as follows. National Football League will be entitled to appoint 10 delegates and their alternate delegates, one for every club affiliated to it. These delegates are appointed by the boards of directors of each club, in accordance with paragraph 3 of Article 21 of this statute. The delegates from each club must certify by letter to the representation in the General Assembly of Football. First Division League will be entitled to elect 5 delegates and their alternate delegates. These delegates are elected by the General Assembly of the League. Liga fans not. The election of these delegates by the General Assembly of the League First Division fans will not form a by-region, as determined by the Assembly. If it chose to make the election by region, the Executive Committee of the League affiliated clubs divided into 5 geographical regions with the equal number of members, except mathematical impossibility. Each region will elect its own delegate and a deputy. The Executive Committee of the League is obliged to make available to the Executive Committee of the Federation certified copy of the Act of Assembly where it is stated in people has fallen the duty to represent them before the General Assembly of Football and the respective letter power, for the purposes of the relevant accreditation. Second Division League will be entitled to elect 3 delegates and their alternate delegates. These delegates are elected by the General Assembly of the League Division 2 lovers not. The election shall individually for each delegate. The Executive Committee of the League shall be obliged to make available to the Executive Committee of the Federation certified copy of the Act of Assembly where it is stated in people has fallen the duty to represent them before the General Assembly of Football and the respective power of attorney for the purposes of the relevant accreditation. Third Division League will be entitled to elect 2 delegates and their alternate delegates. These delegates are elected by the General Assembly of the League Third Division fans not. The election shall individually for each delegate. National Women's Football League have the right to appoint delegate and delegate its respective alternate. These delegates are appointed by the Executive Committee of the National Women's Football League. The Executive Committee of the League shall be obliged to make available to the Executive Committee of the Federation for the respective letter of attorney for purposes of accreditation. Futsal National League have the right to appoint delegate and delegate its respective alternate. These delegates are appointed by the Executive Committee of the National Football League Board. The Executive Committee of the League shall be obliged to make available to the Executive Committee of the Federation for the respective letter of attorney for purposes of accreditation. Other leagues affiliated. Any other league affiliate of the National Football Federation is entitled to designate delegate and delegate its respective alternate. These delegates are appointed by the Executive Committee of the league concerned. The Executive Committee of the league shall be obliged to make available to the Executive Committee of the Federation for the respective letter of attorney for purposes of accreditation. Committees. The Federation will organize, regulate and maintain the technical bodies A. Bylaws and AMP Regulations Committee B. Coaches Committee and Technical Directors C. Referees Committee D. Committee on National Teams League Committee and Professional Amateurs League F. The others needed work programs under the Federation itself. The Executive Committee shall be regulated with regard to functioning, powers and duties of these committee. Charter and Bylaws Committee 1. The Charter and Bylaws Committee will be responsible for studying and drafting of requests for amendment to this statute. 2. Should study and draw up draft regulations to implement this statute, and to review, analyze and study the rules and regulations of the affiliated institutions. Must render its opinion to the Executive Committee of the Federation for the corresponding effects. Coaches and Technical Directors Committee, without prejudice to the powers that national law assigns to the National Association of Coaches. Coaches Committee and Technical Directors will be responsible to educate and train football coaches. This committee will be responsible assessment of football coaches and certify to the Executive Committee of the Federation the results of the evaluations for this entity approved practice. If applicable, it should promote the achievement of scholarships abroad to affect technical upgrade skills of Guatemalan football players. Referees Committee 1. The Arbitration Committee shall consist of the number of members necessarily for the proper performance of its functions to be exercised in accordance with the provisions of the International Federation of Football Associations and in coordination with the National Association of Referees, which has established office in the national law, will have among the functions the organization and functioning of the National School of Arbitrators of the Federation. 2. Will be responsible for submitting to the Executive Committee of the Federation's list of candidates for inclusion in the Federation International de Football Association, according to the regulations thereof. The Federation will make the official registration. 3. The arbitration panel of the Federation shall consist of arbitrators who meet the requirements to run football matches. 4. The arbitration panel members may choose from among its members a board of directors to represent them before the Federation and the arbitration committee to expose and resolve any conflicts that arise related to the functions. 5. Departmental and municipal associations should appoint their own subcommittees arbitration or integrate sub-branches and subsidiaries of referees, assigned to the arbitration panel of the Federation. The National Teams Committee 1. The National Teams Committee will prepare the proposed organization, operation, discipline and budget for submission to the respective acceptance. 2. Also operate under the regulation that the Executive Committee of the Federation issue. 3. The Executive Committee of the Federation may grant the Commission authority to hire national teams regarding sponsorship and management of their funds in order to make it financially independent. 4. The Executive Committee of the Federation may decide not to appoint a committee of national teams, in which case these attributes correspond directly to the Executive Committee itself. Article 111. Committee. The committees appointed by the Executive Committee of the Federation may be renewed in whole or in part at any time. National Training Center. The Federation's headquarters is vastly growing and becoming more adaptable to its athletes. It is surrounded by 3 grass pitches and a dormitory area for the players. The Guatemala Football Association's second goal project consists of 2 parts. Firstly, the association's previous goal project, a national technical center in Guatemala City, will be upgraded to incorporate dressing rooms, storerooms and a medical center, and the pitch at the center will be extended. Secondly, work will be done on the pitches at the regional training center in Caltenango in the nation's highlands. Women's football teams will be the main beneficiaries of the improvement in infrastructure. The Goal Bureau approved the project on the 4th of February 2008. The work will last approximately 1 year.